Okay, well, welcome. Today, we're going to talk about academic integrity and how you can avoid plagiarism in your essays and papers as midterms are approaching. So my name is Peter Dye. I'm the Assistant Director of Community and Global Engagement in the A Lab. And I've worked a lot in the past with particularly international students with this, because I know there's kind of different rules from country to country sometimes, and it can also be confusing. Like, it's confusing for everyone. So what we're going to hopefully do today is just give you a few resources and some things you can look out for as you write your papers this semester. Alyssa, if you want to introduce.
Yeah, so I'm Alyssa Kowis. I'm the reference and instruction librarian here. So my job is to help students with doing research and finding resources, as well as helping you with your citations. So I'm going to be showing you different things available through the library to help you with this, so that your citations are correct and you don't get an honor code violation where you'd have to see me again anyways.
Great. So the way we'll do this today is I'll just kind of quickly run through some ideas like, so what is plagiarism? What can it look like? And then Alyssa's going to show you some of these Oglethorpe resources you can use when you write your papers. All right, so the first question to think about is just in your mind, like, what would you say plagiarism is and how would you define it? So we kind of throw this word around a lot, but it's good to define our terms. All right, so here's kind of our dictionary definition. It's probably something similar to what you've seen before, but plagiarism essentially is stealing. It's stealing someone's work or someone's ideas as if you're pretending it's your own, right? And this can come up in like really obvious forms where, you know, you're blatantly cheating, but sometimes this can happen unintentionally. And we're going to look at some of this today too, so that you don't accidentally plagiarize something. And sometimes it's just a matter of knowing a few sources and a few strategies you can use. All right, so here's our pop quiz today, multiple choice. All right, I'm going to give you a few examples. I think there's 5 of them. And for our huge audience today, in the chat, you can just type in, if you think it's plagiarism, yes or no. You could type the letters that you think are plagiarism. All right, so here's our examples today. First one, is this plagiarism? Turning in an essay that your friend wrote for you. Next one, is this plagiarism? Including a paragraph from your textbook, but you changed some synonyms, but you didn't cite the source. What if you include a quote in your essay from a research paper, but without citing the source? You could include data from a study in your essay without citing the source. You might be seeing a theme here. And the last one, including the fact that Atlanta is the capital of Georgia, but you don't cite the source. Yeah, throw in the chat or you can go off mic, but which of these do you think might be plagiarism? Any thoughts, any guesses? Benyam, we'll probably pick on you today.
I would say A, B, including a quote in your essay. C.
So far, so good.
D. Wait, including a data from a study in your essay. Yeah, D. And oh no, and that's it, I think.
Perfect, A+. Yeah, so you're right. So A is probably like the really obvious one, right? But B, C, and D, yeah, are definitely plagiarism. And the only reason that E is not is because it's kind of some of this common knowledge. And we'll look at what some of these look like. But well done, you passed the quiz.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll kind of do a quick scan and just make sure we're familiar with what these can look like. This is the most common one that I've seen. It's just copy and pasting. And I think this happens way more often than I would think, but it's the most obvious way and your professors can recognize it. But sometimes there are these less obvious ways. So if you take a look at something like this, let's say that you want to use this in your paper. The key is that we don't know where this came from. But with one quick according to, or possibly a page number, it can really quickly become something safe that you can include in your paper. So these don't have to be really complicated options that you use to avoid plagiarism, but the key thing is credit your sources. All right. And this is important because, you know, you can fail an assignment, you could fail a course itself, And in extreme cases, you could, be kicked out of the university. We don't want any of that to happen. So we're going to try to make sure you know how to recognize these, how to avoid it, but also how to come talk to us when you have questions. That's going to be key. All right, so some simple do's. Just make sure that you're always writing your own papers in your own words. Don't submit something you didn't write. Anytime you get ideas or information from a source, give credit to him. And make sure that you don't copy without referencing where it came from. One big thing that can help you with this too is spend time. I think what gets a lot of people in trouble is waiting until the last minute to write your paper. And then, there's that temptation of, okay, I've still got a word count I have to hit, or, maybe I didn't have enough time to go back and carefully check every single one of those sources. So I think the more time you spend planning, the less likely you are to run into some of these issues. So don't procrastinate. And the key with this is nobody knows all these different citation guides through and through. Alyssa and I don't either, but there's a lot of resources that can help you. So I think the key here is, ask your professor. Don't be afraid to come ask us. You can set up an appointment with us anytime, and, reach out. And no one's really an expert on this, especially when you're starting college, but you can learn this gradually, and we have some tools that can help you in that process. It's also worth noting, your professors will use a program called Turnitin. And so every time you turn in an essay, they get a percentage count of where text in your essay comes from. So if it came from Wikipedia, they're going to know immediately, right? If it came from SparkNotes, they're going to see it listed. Now, sometimes you might have a quote and it'll ding as, taken from somewhere. But if the professor looks and sees like, according to blah, blah, blah source, well, then you're good. So, it's not to say that you're not going to have things that you've, used from sources. That's part of research, but you just have to make sure that you source where they come from and make it really clear for everyone reading your paper. All right, so here's just a few quick examples, and I'd like to do a discussion. Just tell me if you think this is plagiarism or not. So we'll go through, I think there's about 4. So let's imagine there's a survey that you want to use in your paper, and this is the excerpt from the article that contains the survey information. All right, so simply states the results of the survey from 3,000 college students found that increased use of social media corresponded with lower overall grade point averages. Now, let's say you're the student and you want to put this in your paper. Is this plagiarism? Yes, no, why do you think so?
I would
Or Binyam.
I would I would say that it is, because it doesn't it got the information from the excerpt, and oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but it does, maybe something's missing, right?
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna look at another example, but great, so far so good. Okay, same thing, same exact survey and source. How about this student paper? I'll give you a second to read through it, but is it plagiarism? Is it not? What do you notice? What do you see?
Yeah, same thing here. It just changed a little bit, little words.
Nice. And I've noticed, I see this a lot, that, it's actually a lot of work to go in there and change every synonym. Results will become outcomes and survey study, but it's still plagiarism, right? Just changing individual words isn't enough to avoid this.
Mm-hmm.
All right, how about this example?
Yes, they all, they're all getting the information from the excerpt, so they have to cite the excerpt.
You got it. And even if it is a good paraphrase, right? Like this could be saying, okay, the student put it, the information in their own words pretty well, but you're absolutely right. We still don't really know where it came from. So that would be a problem. So finally, what do you think about these two?
Yes, because I see a citation.
Yeah, so, and I mean, sometimes, like I said, it can be as simple as according to, just like love those words, put them everywhere that you can, according to, or Alyssa's going to show you in a minute, there's different citation and style guides that you can use to enclose information in parentheses to later add to your works cited page. But I mean, again, just like you said, the takeaway is, where's the source? And if you include the source, you're safe.
Yeah.
And again, the reason this is so important is, every Oglethorpe student signs the honor code that says, I'll act honorably in my academic studies. I think every syllabus has something referencing this too. And that's why it's such a big deal, because, if you find significant, or if a professor finds significant plagiarism in an essay, you'll have to go talk to the honor council. There can be various consequences. And again, it's something I don't want anyone to have to go through if you don't. I just don't want you to have to go through it. So let's look at resources to help avoid any of that. Notice I have listed my works cited page from the images and information I used. And this will kind of highlight what Alyssa's going to walk you through next. One last thing before I switch it over, just remember our contact information's here, and you can reach out to either of us, because this stuff can get confusing. And if you want to go through specifics of a style guide or how to cite certain things, we can talk about that later today, but anytime you can reach out to us.
Yeah. All right.
All right, well, Alyssa, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. And I think you did a really good job showing the difference of paraphrasing, and that it's still okay for people to do in papers, but you can't do it without citing. That is something that does come up a lot, whether you are taking a direct quote, paraphrasing, or summarizing a resource, you have to cite it and give credit where credit is due. And a lot of the times you guys are citing these so that your professors can find these resources that you found. So that's why they want to know, what type of information were you finding, and are you representing that information correctly? There's a couple of different reasons why they ask you to do this, and it's important to do it as accurately as you can, because that makes it an easier process for everyone. But that's why I'm going to show you guys the different resources we have. I'm going to go to the library website, which is just library.oglethorpe.edu. And one of the things you'll notice that is new this semester is we have this chat box where you can ask whoever's staffing it, the library staff, questions. For formatting citation questions, we can direct you to the research guides or to helpful resources through chat. But if you want someone to go over a citation with you, you have to set up an appointment. And there's a couple of different ways you can do that. And I think one of the easiest ways for you guys to start is to go to More and Research Guides. So we make these guides to help you with your research. We're not too creative with our naming of what the concepts are. But if I go under this first one, the General Research and Reference, the very first guide is the Citing and Writing Guide. So these are the most common citation styles used in academia and ones that are used here at Oglethorpe. So all you have to do is click on the citation style that you're using for your class. And we do link out to other helpful guides if those ones are easier for you, specifically maybe Purdue Owl. They have pretty extensive guides there that are very helpful. But it shows you how to do that in-text citation. So that's the one where we were looking at examples where we say according to, or it put like page numbers at the end. And it also shows you how to do the works cited or bibliography or reference page. So every time you have an in-text citation, you have a corresponding citation page reference with it. So that is one of the research guides that is going to be really helpful for you. One of our other ones is this EndNote Online. And EndNote is a citation manager. So what that does is it helps keep all of your research in one spot. And you might have heard of maybe Zotero or Mendeley. Those are other citation guides as well, or not citation guides, citation managers. And what's nice about these resources is not only do they keep all of your information, all of your research in one spot, they also help you make the bibliographies. And while it'll help generate them and do it faster, you do still need to double check it, which is why I first showed you where the citing and writing guide is. And that's the same for when you get a citation from a database. You have to double check it because they sometimes make mistakes. And it'll still be a faster way of doing it. It'll generate the citation page for you and you can go in and edit it. But again, you just have to be careful with it because small errors can come up, but it will make it faster. And I've told Peter this, and I say this to all the classes, I do not want the longest part of your assignment being writing your citations. I want it to be writing your paper or working on the actual assignment itself. And that's also why it's important not to procrastinate, because the sooner you finish the paper, the more time you have to work on these citations or to get help with them. Because I'm more than happy to help with citations, but if you come in last minute, I might not have availability, because it is first come, first serve when it comes to appointments. And the last research guide I want to show you guys today is the Remote Library Services Guide. So this research guide is just how you can get help from the library while we are currently online. You can contact us. This librarian at oglethorpe.edu email goes to everyone that works in the library. We have different tabs for how to do research. We have some tutorials for developing your research question or reading an article record, which is usually where you're going to find all the things you need to cite a resource. And then also how to get research help, because you can set up appointments with us. And when you need help with writing your citations or specific formatting, this is going to be how you do that. You can either email librarian@oglethorpe.edu, or you can email me directly at akowis@oglethorpe.edu, and we'll set up an appointment with you and go over your citations and how to do that process. Those were the resources that I wanted to show you guys. I'm going to stop my screen share now. And
I'm going to see one last time if I can try to share that YouTube channel, just as one last resource too. Give me just a second. One last resource that could be helpful, and Alyssa mentioned the Purdue Owl. Purdue University has a really awesome online writing lab, and they also have a YouTube channel. And I used to use these in my classes a lot, and I love to send students here because there's lots of really short videos that just break down some of these, tricky concepts. Or there's one I love here, citation. Why are there so many styles, right? And she just kind of why we have, why we have APA, why we have MLA, why we use the different ones, and give some differences. So I'd recommend, this one's great because if you have 3 minutes, 6 minutes sometime, watch one of the videos before you start your paper, and they have a ton of them. So, they're on all kinds of different topics. So this could be one more resource just to add to the list as you're writing papers this semester. But yeah, that's just Purdue Owl. You can search on YouTube.